Hey, I'm here. I guess my camera's still not working, but I have a backup solution. So I'm going to plug that in and I'll get that fixed. Oh, fudge.
Is that you on the iPhone?
No, it's not. I'm not sure who
Oh,
the iPhone is. But sorry. I'm trying to I have to choose the other camera. I don't, it's funny. I
oh, there
took
you
it
are.
out and my camera's working fine, but I have this little camera that I bought for work. But there we go. All right.
Commissioner Laughlin.
Yeah,
Hello.
very close. Camera's very different. Oh, um, all right. Oh, it's been a day. I just got home from work, so I'm a little okay. And then let me see. Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is the August, or no, April 23rd, PSE meeting. We have a pretty short agenda tonight. Just a quick, looks like we have two people who are in attendance. In addition to myself, Commissioner Laughlin and Commissioner Diamond here tonight. So I thought before we did the agenda item, which was to review and discuss the resolution, I just thought we'd start with a couple updates because I know for the ANC in general, we have some events coming up. So on the next Wednesday, April 30th, we have sort of like an open house ANC meeting. So that'll be at Venture X. It starts around 7 p.m. So we invite anybody who can join to come join us in that space. And again, there's no set agenda for it. It's just sort of an open call and a way to just interact in person. Since most of our meetings tend to be in Zoom, this was an option we wanted to do some in-person interaction. So we would encourage that. And then Commissioner Diamond, do you want to talk about the cleanup? Because I know you've been doing a lot of organizing.
Yeah, sure. So there's actually all throughout Ward 1 cleanups this Saturday, just in honor of Earth Day, which was yesterday. So there were cleanups that started last Saturday, and there's a bunch this Saturday. So ours in Adams Morgan is from 10 to 12 on Saturday. And I've been watching the weather forecast, and it says it's supposed to rain, but fingers crossed, it's not going to rain between 10 a.m. and 12. So we're all meeting, whoever can come, we're meeting at 18th and Columbia at the Jubilee Plaza, and then we'll fan out in various groups. And the city is providing rakes, gloves, trash pickers, trash bags. So you just need to bring yourself, and at all ages, so you can bring kids. It's really like community building and cleaning up the neighborhood. And I also want to mention that in addition to the in-person town hall next Wednesday night, a few of the commissioners also hang out at the Line Hotel on Thursdays from 5 to 6, which is another opportunity just to come and talk to somebody, have a coffee, have a tea, have a Diet Coke or a drink, and just interact with your commissioners. And there's never any agenda. It's just a way to meet face to face.
Yeah, it's right. I forgot about that. So we're trying to meet people where they're at. We know not everyone's online, so lots of neat opportunities coming up. And yeah, hopefully if it rains, it's very light. I feel like you
Yes.
can still pick up trash in light rain.
Yes. Me too. Yes.
Um, okay, so with that, so the main agenda item we had tonight, and actually this was something that Commissioner Wood brought to us. And I said that we'd be happy to discuss it at the PSE meeting. I'm just getting my screen together here. I'm gonna go ahead and share it. Here we go. The application. Okay. Um, so there's been some, I guess, discussion within the community of trying to find a better use for a tiny, like a little plot of land that's across from the 7-Eleven on Columbia Road. And I had to walk by it the other day to sort of get my bearings on it, and I did not get a chance to take any photos to share. But just to give you sort of context, it's on the 1900 block of Columbia Road, across from the 7-Eleven is sort of like a triangle, and there is a bus stop there. There are benches that people can use for the bus stop, but then right behind that, sort of where the benches are, there's like a little plot of land that has like a bush or two that is growing on it. Has like a trellis of some sort, and it's sort of been like the neighborhood has sort of been trying to like maintain it in ways over the years and to care for it. But there was some discussions that Commissioner Wood had with the Department of Parks and Rec that suggested that we as an ANC should put a resolution forward to recommend that we sort of get some city assistance with this little plot of land. And the idea was like to basically see if we could get DPR to help with it, because they can sort of provide services and help with that little nugget of land. Because we know within, particularly in Adams Morgan and in Ward 1, like green space is really hard to come by, and would just be another little addition to our little pockets within our community. So it's a pretty simple resolution, just acknowledging that it does also have a name. The Carolyn Laurent Memorial Park has been sort of, I don't know if that's the official name or what was unofficial, but it's definitely in need of some assistance. Like it's not very, uh, as to say, it would need assistance, and the hope is if we put this resolution for it, that DPR could sort of take that. And just there's some language in here explaining about like why it's important to sort of take on that to get some additional assistance for the plot of land. And just, I know this is some stuff that Commissioner Wood added because he was asking me for the data um, about just, within Ward 1 and particularly Adams Morgan, we don't have as much park acreage as other areas. And so this would be another way to add to our park access for our residents. And I know other parts of this, I know mostly because of what Peter sort of researched, or Commissioner would have researched, that there are mechanisms in place, particularly at DPR, this ready to play master plan, to sort of help fit into that overall goal. So that's sort of the gist of this resolution. And I wanted to bring it to PSE for discussion. So I'll first turn it to Commissioner Diamond for any comment, and then if anybody who called in, we're certainly happy to get comments from you as well.
So I took a look at the resolution and it seems like a no-brainer to me. And I actually walk by that little park all the time. There's a couple questions I have. So there's another teeny tiny park within 2 blocks of it, the Anne Hargrove Park.
Yes.
And the Ann Hargrove Park has two signs, one on either end, and it's actually smaller than the one we were talking about. And one of the signs has been completely graffitied over.
Yeah, I noticed that
And
too.
so, like, my question is, what if it becomes under the purveyance of parks instead of DDOT, which to me seems sensible, like how can we hold DPR accountable so that they do things? Because I think both of these little parks are areas where people can sit, and they're both near bus stops, and which is great to have a bench, and it's nice to have green space, but what becomes the mechanism for making sure that it's maintained and the benches don't crumble up and graffiti is removed and all of that?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Let me get my notebook because I mean, we could add that language. Um, like I don't know if it would be helpful to add any language to that point because
I
I'm
mean,
not
I don't want
sure.
to
I don't
hold
know what the
up.
mechanism is.
Yeah, I don't want to hold up the resolution because I think it makes sense
Yeah.
because this is a part, it's a bigger space than the Hargrove Park, and to me it reads as a park. So I'm all for this. I'm ready to, bump this up to our big meeting.
And I think part of the motivation for this, because right now it's, I think because it's considered, maybe it was considered part of sort of like, right now it's sort of managed, not managed, but under the purview of DDOT. And so that it was actually DPR that recommended that we move it out of DDOT and
Oh, okay.
over to them. Um, so that does give me sort of a sense of hope, like that they would be accountable
Yeah, yeah,
since they want to add it to their own workload.
yeah. You're right. Well, and it is a park. So yes,
Right.
I'm all for this.
And I do know that there has been some back and forth with Councilmember Nadeau's office on it too. Like, um, oh, okay, I see that. Thank you, Sean. I will. So before we discuss that anymore, because someone has their hand up, that's uh Sean, can you elevate or open the line for that person?
I think I was just unmuted.
Yep, you're
Yes.
unmuted. We can hear
Okay,
you.
so I was this super secret iPhone guy 10
Okay.
or, 10 or 15 minutes ago. My name's John Anthony. I'm just about a 16-year resident of 19th in California, about closer to 25 for the neighborhood.
Mhm.
And this uh, has this little pocket park, which we colloquially call Slurpee Park,
Oh,
from
that makes
the
sense.
from the people on my block with kids who do annual cleanups, has
Okay.
been an outgrowth of COVID, right?
Okay.
So I can tell you anything you want to know with a high degree of certainty about the designation of this park as in commemorating or honoring the civic activism of a woman, Carolyn Llorente, double
Oh,
L.
could you tell me more? Could you tell us more about her?
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
not
Well,
familiar with.
yeah. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a run on,
Okay.
if you will, a little bit of a dump. Um, she was a longtime Ward 1 activist. She lived at the Promenade on Columbia in Wyoming, that big
Okay.
apartment building with the pool in the back that I can't believe I've never been able to go to. She started Friends of Marie Reed. She was an ANC member. Like, so that is kind of who she was. She died suddenly in her, not, maybe late 60s or something. And this was done by a friend of hers who I met courtesy of an email that Kristen Barden sent me 2 years ago. Like, I've been pecking away at this
Okay.
for 3 or 4 years now. So I sat down with Barbara on one of those benches to learn more about their backstory. But it was her honoring a deceased friend, and she got Jim Graham, Nadeau's
Okay.
to put the nomination before the council. And all
Yeah.
I can find is the Washington Post notification that it was going to a vote. I can't find
Okay.
anything about whether it passed. I'm assuming it did, but even if it did, that's where it stopped. It never
Okay.
got operationalized in an agency, in terms of putting even signage up. So out of my frustration of trying to get DDOT to acknowledge it was their property after they said no, it was not, and then I contacted the National Park Service and it said no, it is not. Contacted DPR, they said no, it is not. I went back to DDOT and they're like, oh yeah, it's ours. And then you just punt, 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 punt. Um, so here, I'm missing a step or two here. Sorry. There, I had as a template a story I learned from behind the Chinese embassy residence apartment building
Mhm.
on Connecticut Avenue and Calorama. There is an unbuilt section of Belmont Road, and it
Yeah.
was unbuilt forever, and it remains unbuilt. But a neighbor over there kept nudging DDOT to let it go to DPR, right? And that's how I had in the back of my head that DDOT's not going to do anything with such a small parcel.
No,
They really won't, and
no.
that it needs to be transferred. And that was my template. It's like a dog park now, with official DPR signage, um, and that's just due to one person who had like who was very committed to it. Now, the ultimate challenge with this parcel, if you're going to garden or have shrubs that don't die on you,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it's pretty exposed, and the street tree that's there is, you can tell it's already on its way out. It's fading from the top, and the cherry tree that's there, while beautiful, started dying a year ago, and it's gonna fall fast. So the challenge is water access,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
however, that's not insurmountable, right? Because you have the Butterfly Garden, Lower Calorama Park. You've got the Biltmore Garden that has water. You've got 20, unbeknownst to a lot of people, at 20th, Wyoming, and Columbia, there is a dedicated water source. I contacted DC Water. They said, we're happy to do it. But it needs to be authorized by a DC agency. Obviously, there's costs involved, so there would have to be that budgetary thing. It's not just a wink
Right.
and a nod. So I'm going to hold up there, but there are a bunch of us who are committed to its beautification and improvement. But the ultimate problem, as Barbara relayed to me from her efforts, and others, 20 years ago, is, they bought hoses and just people ran out of steam. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's my take on it. And Peter's had some obviously independent conversations with DPR, which is great. And
Hmm.
about 4 months ago, I was frustrated about this, and I randomly just picked up the phone and called Nadeau's office and left a message on the phone line, and some
Hmm.
constituent services officer called me back. We have whatever, a, a conference call with the LD and the constituent services director tomorrow at noon.
Oh,
With
you
Nadeau.
do tomorrow?
Yeah, me and Peter. Yeah,
Oh, that's excellent.
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, that's like a mini breakthrough. You don't necessarily want to use the P word in terms of progress, but
Yeah.
we have punctured a
Okay.
level of bureaucracy. Now, granted, the person who has granted us the conversation has not been very optimistic about what we can get DDOT to do, but
Okay.
it's a forum,
That
and it'll happen tomorrow.
that is
Well,
helpful. That makes sense for some stuff that Commissioner Wood had forwarded to me.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that is really helpful context. Thank you for that history
sure.
about
One additional thing, um, the benches, and there's no more bus stop there.
right, because they've
yeah.
moved them. And I didn't know if I assume those benches had been there because it was considered a bus stop
Well, but yes
or
and
if they were
no.
installed.
Yes and no. Apparently, the former version of Kristen Barden was very uh, interested in putting benches and bike racks up there as opposed to beautifying the park. So that's why there's like 5 benches up there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would say, I live right across the street from the Biltmore Street Garden, and
Mhm.
I know about the water source. And one of the reasons why that has been maintained and works is because there is a garden association. And I
Mhm.
would say if we can get this transferred to DPR, one thing that might be helpful for you is to organize like 5 or 6 people so it doesn't all fall on you, and so that people
For sure.
don't get burned out, to kind
Right.
of create some kind of system. Because once there's a water source, I think um, that enables some plant life and some beautification, but it has to be an organization that does it. It can't just fall on one person, because when that one person burns out, then
Right.
there's no system.
Right. And there are other reasons to do this from a fiduciary point of view. In
Yeah.
terms of fundraising, like I've had conversation with a number of my committed neighbors that nobody should go more than 100 or 150 in the hole, right?
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
putting things in the ground and whatnot. Like
Right.
anything over
Right.
that, it needs to be a community fundraising thing.
Yeah. Um, and one thought, which I don't know if this program still exists because someone did reach out to me a couple years ago about it. So UDC has a master gardener like certificate that you can get,
Hmm.
and there are often people who are trying to get the certificate and they need to find like an
They need
opportunity.
time in the field, huh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that might be if and I think they can coordinate or work on land that would like if we get this to DPR, um, I will look them up more and see if they're still existent because that could be and I know each ward has sort of a focus for it. Let me see if it's still in existence.
Okay. At this point on my end, I'm thinking 2026 at the earliest
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
optimistic about anything.
And that's actually great because like when it comes to planting things
Yeah.
that is seasonal, so there's some things you can't like if
Right.
we're gonna put a new tree in or a bush, like some of those things have to be done in the
Yeah.
fall anyway. Um, but maybe this is something I'll look into that more because that would be a source of volunteers or an active person who's
Hmm.
wants to get their certification, um, and could give it some dedicated volunteers to sort of help with it. But
Yeah. My estimation, I mean, is that people that they're folks on my end. There's been a lot of talk and not enough follow up in terms of like how and why we should just independently act. And it's not guerrilla gardening. If you're not getting an answer from the city and you want to beautify a space that's been ignored,
yeah.
then okay, write me up. And and just FYI, I noticed it last year in the fall, but I think I can't remember which council member, commissioner said it that when you walked by, you said there are a few plants there. Well, this is the second time that a DPR landscaping contractor has made that little walk across from Ann Hargrove to our little
Mhm.
Slurpee Park and done landscaping work. And they took a, I don't want to say a butcher's knife or a hatchet
Oh,
to
yeah.
those rose bushes, but they cut them back big time.
Too much,
Um,
probably.
yeah, I think so. But here's the
Yeah.
thing to me that I noticed that it had to be a coordinated effort. They took away all the cuttings, right? They didn't just leave it in a pile.
Oh,
I knew it had to be a for
yeah.
like no citizen cuts that much away and hauls it away on a tarp. Um, so
True,
and
true.
somebody told me later that they saw them. So
Okay.
DPR, somebody at DPR is telling the landscaper, have a look at that place.
Yeah, yeah. It may sort of be on their radar
Right.
to help maintain and and we do want the bushes and stuff to be maintained so that they aren't a hiding ground for our rat friends.
Right.
So, have you
But
ever, from your time
yeah,
volunteering and working with that
yeah.
space, has there been any rat dens or issues with?
I personally have not.
Okay.
And you would, I think in our first cleanup, there was a lot of built up unpleasant trees
Okay.
underneath the
Yeah.
overgrown section.
Yeah.
But like once you get at that one time and because it hasn't been cleaned in a decade, then it's actually not bad at all. And surprisingly, I might have not seen dog poop in like 2 years.
That's a miracle.
I know.
Well, it's like the broken window syndrome. It's like
Yeah.
if you can get it cleaned up and
That's the
then,
idea.
Yeah,
That's the
right,
idea.
right.
then people are less likely to sort of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Go
Well,
poop in go poop in Ward 2.
yeah, I'm impressed
Yeah.
with your tenacity. I think this
Yeah,
is really
thank
great. I
you.
mean, yeah.
Thanks.
That's awesome. I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel on this, and I think with a resolution supporting it from the ANC, sounds like you are already working with Commissioner Wood to have phone calls. I think it's probably more doable to get it transferred to DPR, and then hopefully from there we get accountability and a way to move forward on it.
Yeah, that's the only way to go. And for for peace of mind / sanity, garden at your own will and risk,
Yeah.
up there, and just know that you're kind of like pitching in and going to one of these trash pickups.
Yeah.
Spend 2 hours of your time, $30 or $40, plant something, and then look after it every 10 days or maybe more when it's 100 degrees.
Oh, there's also a group called DC Natives, but they might only do this for private homes.
Mm.
So they are doing DC Natives. They work with particularly residents, but maybe I'll see if they could do like a little garden plot. They help to plant like native plants, like plants that are native to the Atlantic region. And they donate the plants, like that you don't have to buy them. So
Interesting.
I wonder if that's another group we could tap. I know they typically focus on homeowners because they're trying to do that
Yeah.
with homeowner, but I
Right.
wonder if we had a new little, because that they don't have as many or option. They reached out to me for Ward 1 and particularly Adams Morgan because they don't have as much uptake for the program.
Uh-huh.
But I explained to them, and I think that's why these little green spaces are so important in our community, is because it's just we're a lot more. A lot of our residents are apartment. They live in apartments or condos, and so they just don't have a plot of land to ask for help on because
Right.
we rely more on the city parks and stuff.
Well, about 5 or 6 years ago, I bought a 100-foot hose to take care of take care of sidewalk street trees, and it's just sitting there at the ready if one of the the 7-Eleven or the Promenade or the 1860 whatever Wyoming or the Montello, and it's got leaks everywhere, but still, I carried up a 4 out of 5. It was not all the way full, a 5-gallon bucket, 2.5 blocks to water the clematis vine that surprisingly wintered over last year. I planted it last year, and it's the one thing growing there that's climbing up the trellis, the arbor.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that
I would also say it would be great at some point to get some kind of plaque or signage, because the story,
absolutely.
like the story of Carolyn, like this is I've lived in the neighborhood for 25 years, and this is the first time hearing of her. And like these people are really inspirational, and our history, DC history, is getting erased. And so it's really good to like uplift this woman who was an activist. And so I think that would be really great as an aspirational thing to
for sure.
do.
That and it kind of, and it, not just history, it connotates, or I think engenders respect of the place, right? Like instead, like with no designation in terms of like people chucking a big gulp or whatever, who knows in terms of human behavior, but I have proposed it as an artwork project and a little bit of woodworking we have a little bit of MacGyver on our block, to use the DPR logo, right? And whatever you want to call it, graphic, and make our own sign using their imprint. We're not going rogue. But I asked DPR if they could provide a sign, and they said no. It's not our parcel.
Oh, that was the reason. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully if we can get it transferred over.
Yeah. There's a lot of hope in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
Glass
Just
half full.
just FYI, there's um, a just a fantastic long-term resident on California Street back in 1974, if you can believe it, whose sister is a certified arborist landscape architect. And about 2 weeks ago, we did a walkthrough, the three of us, of the current conditions she had her sister over,
Okay.
in terms of the current state of things. And from her background, it was all about planting native stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes the most sense, and and has the best chance of surviving
For
in that.
sure.
Um,
Right.
and I wanted to make you said your name was John Anthony.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make sure I wrote that down quickly.
Okay.
Thank you so much, John. This was really, really
Yes.
helpful background.
It's my
Um,
pleasure.
oh yeah, and thank you for just taking the lead on this. Like, if you haven't before, you should think about running for ANC.
Hey, here's a little uh, uh, small piece of minutia for you. I live on the top floor of a row house, brownstone,
Mhm.
and the ground floor resident is Daniel Michelson Horowitz.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
There's gonna be a vacancy.
I heard that.
Okay.
I think Howard. I personally, I've been involved in political advocacy most of my life. I've always been the guy behind the woman or the man, and I just have no interest in holding public office.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, we're hoping that Howard will
yeah.
jump into it. But like, I'm just say, if there's in the future, if we have trouble
Okay,
filling it,
okay.
we might reach back out to you.
All right, fair enough.
thank you.
Thank you
My
for
pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my
um
pleasure.
thank you. I didn't know if there are any other comments or questions, because if not, we'll just move on to voting on the resolution. And okay, so with that, I think it sounds like there's going to be some conversations happening tomorrow on this, but I think certainly a resolution supporting this from the ANC will really help give it some additional weight. And also will make it a little bit more, it will show that there's support from the community for it as well. So I would like to put up a vote for the resolution to transfer the Carolyn Lorente Memorial Park to the Department of Parks and Recreations. Wait, do I have to say, oh, I'm horrible at this.
I don't think for a resolution, I don't
I
think
don't
in
think
committee we need a second.
we don't, yeah.
Okay.
But all in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
okay.
All right, passes with 2 votes. I think we may have a vacancy for Isabel's ANC as well. She hasn't officially, but I know she was a State Department employee, and I think her situation has changed. So we may have a vacancy in that ANC as well, but I do not believe she's officially vacated yet. So I know she's supposed to be on this committee, but has not been able to, Commissioner Clement is her last name, has not been able to attend any meetings. And so, I say,
Yeah,
we
I was wondering about that. Because I guess our committees all have 3 people on
typically
them.
3.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been going to all of them just because, people have been absent or, it's
Yeah,
been,
it's a good way to learn
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know Commissioner Clements, because her employment situation with the State Department changed. And so I think I'm not sure if she's going to be able to stay in the DC area. So
Okay.
okay, so with that, I just want to make sure I'm not overlooking anything. Brian, and I always love that you're in the shadows, so thank you for joining us. And
Yes.
we will get our act together and have a table at Porch Fest. We're working on it.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's the banner looks great. I've got a table to offer up. I think,
Yeah.
and we also um there's other events coming up. Like I think there's that big yard sale in Adams Morgan, which would be I will be around that weekend and I'd be happy to man a table. So we just keep once we have our banner, like we
I
could go
know.
anywhere.
Brian, did you have any updates? I haven't checked my email today if there were. So,
Yeah, no, yeah, happy to have y'all. We're kind of frantically putting it altogether because it's well a week from Saturday. So but
Yeah.
yeah, fingers crossed for good weather, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, everything should be good. It'll be a fun day.
Are you still looking for volunteers? Are you sort of maxed out or
Um, we probably are. Um, we have a volunteer coordinator, and
okay.
I'm underwater in 7 other parts of it. But if anybody is out there, or you know anybody, tell them to shoot me an email, and we'll figure it
Okay.
out.
Yeah, yeah. And we still we can make sure to bring that up at the town hall, our open sort of town hall ANC meeting next week at Venture X. We can make sure to spread the word about
Yeah,
both Porch Fest and for volunteers. So, and I know
awesome.
Bike to Work Day is coming up too, so if people want to volunteer for that as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, I always need help for that too.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone on this unseasonably warm for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, 62 is my favorite temperature. But yeah, so lots of really great stuff coming up, and I'm hopefully this resolution will help push us to the finish line to get that park transferred and to do some great stuff with it.
Oh, I have one other thing to mention. I don't
Mhm.
know if you saw my email, but someone from NATO's office is going to join us on the cleanup, and
Yes.
then we'll talk about the bottle bill. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just as a thought reminder to myself, we will have someone from DPW at the full ANC meeting, Randy. Because I know we've had a lot of questions about when we request a trash can and then it's put in and
Yes.
moved.
Yes.
So Randy said that she'll speak to that. So
Oh,
that will
that's
be at
excellent.
our May 7th. Is that our next the full
Yeah.
ANC? Yeah, so we'll have DPW because I know that's the issue that's important to this PSE as well when we're thinking about rat control. So,
Well, and I was walking around the neighborhood. I've been walking around the past couple days because I've been putting up signs about the cleanup. And it's really random with the trash cans because some blocks have no trash cans and some blocks have two or three. So it would be really great to sort of get the
yeah,
rationale
the
and
logistics.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So, that, and I specifically asked us to speak to that. Like, I, I trust DPW and how they do it. I want to sort of understand it so that we can best advocate for stuff and I don't want to give people a false hope of getting a trash can if it's just going to get
right.
taken away. So, okay. Well, with that, everyone have a good night and hopefully see some folks on April 30th. Go Caps. Are they playing tonight? I don't know.
I don't know. It's a lot going
Thanks, Sean.
on. A
And
lot
thank
going
you,
on.
Sean, for being here with us tonight. I know you could have gone to a Nats game, so thank you for being with us.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.